I just wanted to do an eye tutorial, so just kind of like your daily eye look. So what I like to start with is an eyeshadow primer, and you can either use a brush like this or you can use your finger. So it kind of helps smooth out like any discoloration you have and then prolongs the wear of your eyeshadow, which is my favorite part. So you want to make sure you get it nice in the crease there. And then kind of just make sure you blend it out. It's not so much blending, but just making sure you have more of a uniform color. I'll just do the other side and getting it close there. And then if you do get it on your eyelashes, I recommend trying to get it off. You can just use your finger before it dries, because then sometimes you'll be able to see that color, because some of them are clear. This one is like a light skin tone, light shade. And then the nice thing about an eyeshadow primer is that it's going to make colors more vibrant when you go in and put your eyeshadow on. So next, I like to use a fluffy crease brush. So either use a powder or a translucent setting powder, and then you can use either a neutral eyeshadow. Those are your three options, because you want to put some sort of powder down before you start trying to blend in your darker crease colors, because you'll notice that like once you try to do it that way, that they don't come out uniform across your crease. Sometimes you'll get more pigmentation in one spot over another. So today I think I'm going to do just like a neutral color, and I can show you future options in other tutorials. So here I've got a shade right here. It's very, very light. So I'm going to take my fluffy crease brush, just put it in there, and then you want to dab it off, and then just come kind of in this way, just sweeping your brush into the crease. And you really shouldn't see a whole lot when you're using a neutral color. Just enough so that it kind of sets you up for success when you start bringing in your darker colors. So you want to go light to dark, which kind of makes sense. Because just remember that as you're doing eyeshadow, sometimes it can be tricky, but you want to start with less and work up to more. So less is always going to be more when you're doing an eyeshadow look, because you can't really get it off as easily. You can soften the color by using a neutral color or white, but you won't be able to just get it all the way off without completely removing all of the eye makeup, which I've had to do that before. So just using this technique will kind of combat that issue. Next color I'm going to use, this one right here. So it's kind of like a orangey brown. So now this is my crease color that I'm going to take in. As you can see, we're going light to dark. So the fluffy crease brush, and just kind of moving in, and then you want to bring it around the edge. Now we'll move into the other side, and then we'll kind of decide how we want to move along with the crease. Depending on how one side turns out, you want to make them even. So there you have the crease. And you can see how using that color right before kind of allowed me to blend this nice and easy. So fluffy crease brushes will be your best friend. Next color I'm going to use is a little bit darker, where I'm going to kind of outline the corner. So I'm going to use this dark shade right here. And again, we're going to use our fluffy crease brush. Remember, because this is darker, you really want to only get a tiny bit, and then you can build up. So you'll kind of go this way, making a bit of a V into the corner. and then you want to blend it out. You can see it's darkening up in comparison. Just gonna check it in a mirror so I don't have the very, very bright light. Okay, so they're looking pretty good. Okay, so next we're gonna do our lid. So I think let's do this one. This one's from Younique. I really like this one. It's nice and showy. So I like to use a flatter brush, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray setting spray on it so that you don't have all that glitter fallout dropping on your face. So it's kind of helpful in that manner. But when you do this one, you're just going to pat it on there, which is the second way to combat that glitter drop off. So I'm going to use this brush here. You can kind of see it this way. It's nice and flat. So I'm going to take the Younique spray and just spray it right on the brush. And then I'm just going to let it dry off just a little bit so it's not super saturated with the spray. And then I'm just going to dab it right on the eyeshadow. And then I'm also going to do the same thing we did with the other ones, because you don't want to get a ton of excess on there, because then for sure you're going to have fallout right underneath your eye. So you're just going to press it. And you kind of want to bring it into your crease that's now kind of down into the little bit. And then we'll come back in with our fluffy crease brush and clean this up. As you can see, it already got a little bit there, but I'll show you ways to clean those up too. Just gonna get a little bit extra for this eye over here because the other color kind of blended down a little bit further than the other side. Like I said, you want to make them as even as possible. So we're going to come with our fluffy crease brush, kind of blend back around that same pattern we did when we went around the eye, because you don't want a super harsh line. You can see that there. And we'll do the same thing over here. This one didn't need quite as much blending. So you can see that didn't take too long. That was a few different eyeshadows, but it's enough to kind of help make the look pop. Of course, you can do this with just the two. You can I really do highly recommend that you do some type of neutral shade or a powder or a translucent powder over your eye before you get started with the crease. But if you just want to do a two eyeshadow look, you can definitely just do the crease and then the lid, and then boom, you're done too. But I like to do it this way just because it kind of creates a little bit more dimension to your eye, because then you're darkening your corner and it kind of gives you more of a full look. That is typically what I do on a daily basis. It doesn't really take that long. You could see here it didn't take too long and I was explaining it to you, but to some people that might be a lot. But for me, I like to do makeup so it doesn't bother me if it takes me an extra 2 minutes. Alright, next I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to use the Kabuki brush here from Younique, and just because it has all the loose bristles, it can kind of help grab the extra glitter that may have fallen out. You see it kind of grabbed up right in here. And then if that doesn't work, you can always come in with one of these to kind of pick up. So this is a beauty blender. Kind of just grab that excess off of there. And like I said in the beginning, this is just an eyeshadow tutorial, so tune in for other videos to see kind of like a full look. I'm just focusing on the eyes right now. So next, I'm going to come in with a black liquid eyeliner. I'm going to use a mirror, but you'll be able to see me. And then just for a simple line, I just go right across. And then you want to let that dry before you come in with your mascara, just depending on where it fell, if it got on your eyelashes. Because then if it is drying really close to your lash line, you'll put on the mascara and you'll pull it out just above the line, and then you'll have some extra cleanup that you don't want to do. You can see there I may have gotten a tiny bit here. I'm just going to flick it off, because if you do get it really into the lashes and then that liquid eyeliner hardens, then you have like a solid chunk in your lash, and then your brush tends to not want to pull through. But that's super easy. Just keep a little tissue nearby, and then you can just swipe down, which I just use my finger because I do not have a tissue, but that would be my recommendation for you. So do mostly what I do, not always what I do, if you want to have a nice clean look. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for just a second, and then I'm going to put on Younique's Epic 4D. But now while that one's drying, this one should be good to go. And you just want to get the excess off the end, because you do not want to get a bunch in your inner corner there. So you want to start at the base, and you really want to wiggle the wand. I recommend looking down so that you don't end up with it on the back, under your brow bone or in your crease that you just so elegantly created. But don't fear, if you do get it back there, make sure you let it completely dry, and then you can come in with a Q-tip, or a lot of formulas will just scratch off with your fingernail. If you don't have a Q-tip, go ahead and try your fingernail first, and then if you have to pull out the big guns, grab a Q-tip. And so then before you go about anything, do not touch this eye, let it dry. So to keep yourself busy, move on to your next eye so that you don't go messing with that. Because I promise you, you will thank me later, because if you try to do anything with that, separating the lashes, applying a second coat of mascara, if that's what you like to do for your lashes, or even trying to remove anything that you get back here, you will regret it, because it will smear and you'll have a much larger mess to clean up. So like I said, I come into the base of the lashes, pulling it all the way through. Let you guys see a little bit more. So this is my current favorite mascara. I've tried so many mascaras, it's unreal. Everything that you can find in Sephora and Ulta. And then once I tried this one, I was like, ooh, I need to make the change, and I really need to tell everybody else about it. And price-wise, it's quite comparable to anything else I'd been using. Like from Urban Decay to Benefit. Kind of runs in the same price family. And honestly, I like it better. Makes my lashes look nice and full, and this is one coat. And then if you aren't a huge fan of that, you can always add an eyelash primer, so then you don't have to use 2 coats of mascara. Okay, now I'm going to come in and kind of take a look at this side, just because I really like to make sure every lash is separated. So I have this metal tool, but you can use pretty much anything. If you have an old mascara wand, go ahead and clean that off, and then you can use that to get in between every single eyelash. And then it kind of just, if you get some that kind of clump up a little bit, you can do that. Because I'm giving this tutorial just depending on what products you use. For me, I have a couple wild eyelashes on this eye specifically in the corner that don't like to participate with any mascara wand. So they kind of live their best life. So there you can see the complete eye look. There's still a little bit in the corner. I'll kind of get that off. But yeah, if you're doing a full face, you can bring your concealer around and that will kind of sharpen up the edges. But for this purpose, I just wanted to do an eye tutorial. So there you have that. And then if you're interested in doing your brow bones, I can show you how to do that. It gives you a little bit of a highlight. I personally use this very light pink shade here. And then what I like to do, I don't know if I have the brush sitting, oh yes I do. I have this tiny little brush, so what I'm going to do is just dab it in there, tap it off, and then come really close to the eyebrow. So when you're doing your crease, if it comes way up, this is a perfect way to kind of get that slight bit of separation there. But I don't come up that high. But if that's how you do your makeup, it allows a little bit of separation in between there. And then you can bring your fluffy crease brush in to kind of blend everybody together. And then you'll have a little bit of highlight right there at the brow bone. So there you have it. That's the eye look. I'll let you see it nice and close. And comment if you have any questions or message me.